Hello, and welcome back to the channel. The manhwa we are going to recap today is about a princess that regressed in time to save her city. So let's begin our recap. The manhwa begins with the commencement of Ella's execution. Ella is asked to keep walking, her expression dull. She wonders where she went wrong. She is accused of one-sidedly calling off her engagement with Prince Gil and causing great damage to the royal family. Although she was pardoned by the king and found innocent, she was instead given the role of a feudal lord. However, she is said to have repeatedly abused her powers and destroyed the entire domain, resulting in a riot. Another girl scoffs that such a horrible person is Ella. She cannot believe that Ella is her sister. Ella notes that the domain was already in ruins by the time she became the lord, and this entire situation is a setup. But even if she tries to argue, no one will listen to her. She is pushed forward, forced to keep walking. Ella looks at her sister and at Prince Gil. Her stepmother was the one who arranged her engagement to the prince. If Ella got engaged to the rebellious Prince Gil, the bond between her family and the royal family would strengthen. But 10 years ago, when Prince Gil's reputation began to mend, her stepmother was also the one who asked her to call off the engagement. She didn't want to offer such a charming prince to her stepdaughter, and instead wished to marry him off to her real daughter, Isabella. Ella did refuse. As the elder daughter of the family, she believed she could not allow such a thing. But Isabella had told her that it didn't change anything, that Ella could not talk back to their mother just because she was older. Now, as Ella reflects, she realizes that her death sentence was planned 10 years ago. After that day, they made the excuse that her room was under renovation and moved her to the dusty, cold attic. They gave her even less food than the servants. She was never given any desserts, and all communication with the outside world was cut off. She stopped receiving letters from her fiancé, Gil. He must have feared that he might suffer the same fate as her. No one came to rescue her. She fell apart slowly. But if she kept living like this, she would either go insane or get sick and die. Her father, who had not returned home for a long time, would be truly heartbroken if he found out his daughter died from sorrow. If that was going to be her end, then she decided to call off her engagement with Prince Gil. As soon as she ended the engagement, she was banished to a desolate domain. Since they had no other reason to keep her, they cast her out. But her mind and body had nothing left to give. There was no way she could rule over such a ruined domain. Still, it doesn't matter what she says now. No matter what word she speaks, everyone is wishing for her death, not just Isabella and her stepmother, but even her father, who knows nothing of the truth, and Gil, who had once been her fiancé. Gil orders it. Indeed, the king orders it. The execution begins. If only she could go back, if only she could turn back the time and redo it all. It would have been so nice. If she could do it over, she just wants to live freely, without worrying about her family or her fiancé. She cries, longing to be free, like the birds in the sky. At that moment, the clock moves. She gasps and suddenly wakes up. She wonders if it was all a dream. It couldn't have been, could it? She looks into the mirror and sees that she looks rather young. She checks the date. It is the 0th month, the day before her engagement with Gil was made official. Isabella and her stepmother told her that they wanted to talk about something. Today is the day 10 years ago. She is then called by the maid to head to her stepmother, who says she needs to talk about something. Yes, this is the very day her stepmother is going to suggest that Ella call off the engagement with Gil. This means she has been given the chance to redo it all. Isabella says she needs to tell Ella something. But Ella declares first, before anyone else can speak, that it doesn't matter if she is the eldest daughter. She will live the way she wants to live. She tells them that she wants to give up her position as Prince Gil's fiancé and grants it to Isabella. They are taken aback, unsure of what Ella means. Ella tells them that it is simply her intuition. She knows the facts that Isabella has been trying to get closer to Prince Gil, and that their mother has also been rooting for the same outcome. So she figures it is her duty as the eldest daughter to step aside. Her stepmother remarks that Ella has good foresight, but says that to annul the engagement without any reason, the royal family will never accept it. Ella knows her stepmother is trying to force her, and if she does not comply, they intend to have her executed in the end. Ella calmly says that they can frame it as her being unable to handle her position, that it was simply a change of heart. But she also says that such excuses will not work. The royal family will announce it as a one-sided engagement withdrawal and give her heavy punishment. She might even be demoted to the hinterlands Eastwood. Isabella goes happy and asks if that means Ella will never come back home. Ella confirms it. Her stepmother, confused but not openly opposed, finally admits that it does seem like an appropriate punishment. Now, in the carriage heading toward her destination, Ella finds it almost funny to think about the expression her stepmother must have worn. They are almost there. She looks out the window and sees the town center in ruins. Compared to the last time she came, this place is still slightly better, but lifeless nonetheless. She notices a boy in front of the gate. The guards ask him to move away, warning that he might get hurt. The little boy asks them if the people in the carriage are rich, and if so, whether they can give him something. He says he is about to die of hunger. Ella thinks it is awful. She gives him the bread she received. The coachman warns her not to give anything, but the boy says it is rather kind of her to share. He then asks if she is a noble. Seeing his cold demeanor, the coachman advises her that they should leave the area quickly, but the boy starts shouting at her, demanding that she leave all the food and get out. He accuses them of being the ones stealing everything from the people. Ella feels saddened by how deeply dissatisfied the people are with the nobles. In her past life, she herself was so depressed that she never truly understood what was happening in this domain. But this time, as the land's lord, she knows she must restore it. Upon arriving at the mansion, she tells the servants that she is the new lord of the territory. She introduces herself as Ella and says she is pleased to work with them. For their first task, she wants them to distribute food to the people. The servants are stunned. One of them tries to tell her she should go back inside, that the people might attack her. They say that if she goes out there alone, she is about to die for sure. But she replies that it will be pointless if she doesn't go. As the lord of this land, she wants to hear what the people truly wish to say. As she is handing out food, someone asks her if she is really the new lord. They say it is unfortunate that she has been thrown into this place at such a young age. The man explains that a long time ago, this place wasn't this bad. The previous lord had simply gone insane. All he did was raise taxes, making it impossible for people to even put food on the table. He says that the capital doesn't care about the worsening conditions in Eastwood. That's why the people have started giving up on the land entirely. He asks Ella if she truly believes she can change Eastwood for them. Ella sees now that she was not the only one in pain in her previous life. All she thought about was herself. She had been placed in an unfair position, and all she could do then was fight to survive. She had sunk so low, believing she was the only one in the world who was suffering. She never truly considered the hard work it would take to change her circumstances. But now, she declares inwardly that she will surely change it. She asks who is scheduled to meet the stand-in lord tomorrow, because as the new lord of this place, she is the one who will check if that stand-in person is truly worthy of it or not. Now Isabella begins receiving a flood of new letters from various lords, and she is clearly reveling in the feeling of being the next queen. However, the butler notes that her acceptance of lavish gifts from male nobles under the pretext of her upcoming position reveals a serious lack of integrity. It's becoming more and more obvious that she is completely different from Ella. The butler can't help but wonder what the prince must have been thinking to consider choosing someone like her over Ella. Driven by these thoughts, Isabella contacts the minister to ask if he believes she is more suitable than her sister to be the next queen. Meanwhile, Ella meets the stand-in lord of Eastwood. She introduces herself formally, and Devon introduces himself in return, stating that he is currently acting as the lord of the territory. She immediately notes how luxurious the entire mansion is, wondering aloud just how much money it took to build something like this. The man attempts to flirt with her, dismissing political talk between a man and a woman on their first meeting as too stiff. He claims that before discussing state matters, they should first deepen their personal bond. Ella responds by observing that he doesn't seem to have much interest in art, and he jests again that he simply has an eye for beautiful things. Of course, her beauty surpasses all of them in his eyes. She questions how he managed to afford all these luxuries in such a poor area. Calmly, he explains that one can easily gather funds by taxing the people and hoarding money for personal use. Ella grows visibly agitated, demanding to know whether he truly believes that's their duty, causing poverty for their own gain. He smiles and tells her that, as a return gift for being stationed here, he is entitled to some excitement too. After all, this is a place where survival of the fittest rules. Devon laughs, saying that her face looks even prettier when she's angry. He insists that one day she will come to understand his perspective. But Ella is not swayed. She knows that Devon is completely focused on filling his own pockets. If he continues to hold this much political power, then the same rebellion that happened in her previous life is bound to occur again, and if that happens, she will be the one blamed. She cannot afford to be executed a second time. She can't leave Eastwood in this state. Eastwood is notorious for being the graveyard of government officials, not because they are lazy or incapable, but because they are the ones who have fallen out of favor. If they were merely unqualified, they would have simply been fired. Instead, the ones sent here are either those who irritated their superiors or good officials who were unfairly demoted. People like that don't belong here. Ella is determined to change that. She orders her vassals that she is going to reform this dominion and turn it into an independent domain that will not waver no matter what. She wants it to become a place of stability. However, one of the vassal members asks her to stop. He says that for a lady from such a distinguished family to end up here, she must have had some kind of issue. And that's exactly what everyone thinks when they are first placed here. They all believe they can change this place, that they will produce results and show the capital their worth. But no matter what they do, they all remain under Devon's thumb. He's not trying to discourage her, but he advises her to remain quiet and inactive for her own good. Ella responds bluntly, telling them the truth. She's doing this because she doesn't want to be executed again. She asks them what they think of the current state of Eastwood. It's clearly not ideal. But what bothers her even more is how all of them seem so focused on proving something to the capital. She questions if they still have that desire. The vassals admit that, if it were possible, they would love to prove their worth. But they say it's impossible. Not a single politician stationed here has ever made it back to the capital. In response, Ella says that they need to turn Eastwood into a city that can rival the capital itself. Since the place is so far removed, it's unlikely to be influenced by the capital's politics. That distance can work in their favor. She points out that the capital officials will undoubtedly be frustrated to see Eastwood flourish as a powerful, independent region. At this, everyone laughs. They think her ambition is delusional. But Ella slams her hands down on the desk, shocking all of them. She declares that if this dominion isn't reformed, she will be executed. She makes it clear that she's deadly serious even if her ideas seem insane. Her life is on the line. She doesn't think the plan is absurd in the slightest. She reminds them that they all already know who the root of the problem is, and that reform is only possible if they all help. Moved, they finally say that they want to help, but they also admit that it feels like they're slowly rotting and decaying out here. Ella asks them that if they're going to rot anyway, why not give change a try? Back on the minister's side, Isabella presses him again, asking whether he really believes she's fit to be queen. He assures her that of course she is. But then she presents him with a list of people who oppose her marriage with Prince Gil, including his name. This leaves him completely speechless. Isabella coldly tells him that she despises people who don't do what she wants. And she makes it very clear that she is going to teach him exactly what happens to someone who dares to oppose the queen. Thanks to the help of the officials, Ella is finally able to get a clear picture of Eastwood's current situation. For the past few years, Devon has been exploiting the people by collecting taxes nearly 3 times higher than the kingdom's standard rate. Yet he was never punished for it. He managed to avoid consequences by bribing nobles in the capital. She is confused. How exactly was he able to gather such funds when Eastwood doesn't even have any kind of production? Then she notices that her own family is also listed among the beneficiaries. Her eyes fill with agony. One of the vassal members asks if she is all right, and she assures him that she's fine and thanks him for his concern. Still, Ella understands what this means. If she purges Devon from Eastwood, Isabella and her stepmother will surely view her as an enemy. But now she cannot allow her fellow officials to suffer any longer, and she cannot turn her back on the citizens who are burdened by this distress. She has gathered all her pride. It is time to confront Devon. When she arrives, Devon greets her with a smug tone. He remarks that although she left him with the title of Lord, it's troublesome for her to appear uninvited. Even so, he still finds her selfishness cute and wonders if she has come to finally have that slow discussion with him. Ella presents the list of nobles that Devon bribed in order to cover up his illegal tax schemes. Devon is furious and shocked at how she managed to gather this much information in such a short amount of time. He sighs, acting as if what he has done is within the rights of a stand-in lord. She makes it clear that while it may have gone overlooked until now, it will not be tolerated any longer. Devon then asks her if she's here because she wants money. He even offers her some artwork. Ella responds coldly. He is not fit to be the lord of this place. As of that moment, she removes him from his position as stand-in lord and confiscates all of his belongings. The knights receive her order and move to capture him. Devon shouts, demanding to know if she really thinks she can get away with this. Ella responds that dismissing a corrupt official and seizing his assets is well within the rights of a feudal lord. As far as she's concerned, this is nothing more than a justified purge. Devon scoffs and says that since he is backed by her stepmother, she cannot get away with this so easily. But Ella counters that she can, because she is the eldest daughter of that family. Devon has no comeback. All he can do is grit his teeth. Even now, Ella wants to forget about her past. Yet even in her second life, she is still shackled to that family. 1 month after purging Devon, she receives a report on the progress of Eastwood's administrative reformation. Work on the tax system has begun, and the foundation of a local militia is being laid. Though it is not an easy or smooth process, the administration is expected to be on track within the next 3 years. Ella is impressed that it will only take that long. The vassals credit her entirely. Even though they were rotting in neglect and had lost all trust from the capital, she still believed in them. Because of her words, they were reborn. This alone makes Ella happy. She says she should be the one thanking them. She declares that, together, they are going to make a great reform, and not just create a city that rivals the capital, but a domain that will suppress it entirely. The vassals are now completely determined. With Devon purged, the Dominion's public safety is on the path to recovery, which should prevent the same insurrection that led to her execution in her last life. Yet Ella's fears do not end there. Elsewhere, the former queen asks Prince Gil what he thinks of his new fiancés. When he asks if she's referring to Isabella, the former queen clarifies she's talking about the recent minister's execution. She says it seems like Isabella was the one who orchestrated that brutal punishment, and she questions whether that level of cruelty was truly necessary. She then asks Gil if he is really okay with Isabella being his bride. Gil replies that his father wants to strengthen ties with the Walker family, and as the crown prince, he has no choice but to comply. The stepmother had been the head of the political faction that opposed the Walker family's rise in power. Now that Isabella executed a minister and made an example of him, the nobles are gripped by fear and desperate to align with her side. But the former queen cuts him off. She isn't asking for the king's opinion. She wants to hear what Gil himself thinks. He must have his own thoughts about the situation. Gil remains stubborn. As the prince, he claims that his priority is managing the royal family. If he puts his personal feelings above political stability, it would be an obstruction to the crown. The former queen reflects bitterly. The way he speaks, the way he suppresses his personal feelings for the sake of duty, it's not wrong to think that he's going to be the next king. But still, she wonders. 3 years after Devon's purge, Eastwood is beginning to look like a better place. As Ella walks through the streets, one of the villagers recognizes her and greets her. She smiles and returns the greeting. It's a genuinely pleasant feeling for her, being able to come out and take a stroll without fear. She remarks that next time, she'll come alone. The vassal walking beside her notes that, while Eastwood is in much better condition than it was in the beginning, public safety still remains a concern. He hopes she won't do anything that will make the people anxious. She smiles gently and assures him that she won't act recklessly. The man adds that even without her noble status, she stands out simply because of her face. If she walks around alone, especially in the capital, she is bound to become a hot topic. Hearing this, Ella's thoughts shift briefly to the capital. The vassal quickly apologizes for mentioning it, but she reassures him that she no longer holds any attachment to that place. She has already made up her mind. Her life now belongs to Eastwood. Back at the estate, a maid welcomes Ella home. The atmosphere is warm, but the maid hesitantly informs her that a letter has arrived. It's from the capital. The moment she hears this, Ella becomes tense. If it's from her family, she already dreads the contents. She quickly asks the maid who it's from. The maid replies that the letter bears the royal seal. Ella is confused. Why would the royal family contact her? The maid adds that the letter appears urgent and that they want her to read it as soon as possible. Ella nods and takes it in hand. The letter announces a grand party celebrating the 1500th anniversary of the kingdom's founding. It will be hosted by none other than the former Queen Elizabeth. Each lord from the various territories has been formally invited, and Ella, being the Lord of Eastwood, is no exception. As she reads, her heart sinks. She knows her stepmother will use this event as an opportunity to spread more rumors. If word gets out that she was invited to such a major event, it'll only give her enemies more ammunition. Even now, they're already slandering her for breaking off her engagement. It's not just her stepmother or her stepsister anymore. The entire capital has turned into her battlefield. there's no merit in attending, she thinks. Yet, with Queen Elizabeth hosting the event herself, and the fact that they sent a formal letter, even to a remote territory like Eastwood, it clearly isn't just an ordinary celebration. Even if she was exiled, she's still technically a member of the royal family. If she refuses, they'll twist it into an act of defiance and dishonor. Worse, they might use it as an excuse to target her domain. To protect Eastwood, she has no choice. She'll have to go. Ella sighs, consoling herself. It's just one day. Just one day she has to endure. As long as she doesn't draw attention, avoids any commotion, and plays the part of a wallflower, she'll survive it. At the same time, in the capital, Isabella speaks to her mother. It has been 3 years since she got engaged to Prince Gil, which also means 3 years have passed since Ella disappeared from their lives. Today, she's going to be officially recognized as the prince's fiancée. She senses something off and asks her mother what's wrong. Her mother explains that it seems Ella has also been invited to the party. Isabella becomes visibly upset. Her mother tries to calm her, reminding her that this is a major state event, and Ella, as the Lord of Eastwood, was bound to receive an invitation no matter what. They assure themselves that Ella has already been tamed by the countryside. She'll probably blend into the background, acting like a country girl, and there's no real risk of her stealing Isabella's spotlight. Then, her mother asks if she remembers a man named Devon. It seems Isabella has no memory of him. Her mother explains that he was the stand-in Lord of Eastwood, at one point, the one who handed Ella the domain ring. He was foolish but somewhat useful to them at the time. However, word has it that Ella dealt with him herself. They don't care much about what became of Devon, but what they do worry about is the possibility of Ella causing trouble again. Today is not just a party, it's a battleground for appearances and influence. Isabella ponders this. Ella might indeed stir something up, but perhaps this is also their opportunity. With Ella leaving Eastwood for the party, if anything happens back in her territory during her absence, she'll undoubtedly be blamed for it. And just like that, they begin to prepare, not just for the celebration, but for the subtle war brewing beneath the surface. We see that all the men are gathered around Isabella, complimenting her. They tell her that she has become even more beautiful and that her dress is especially stunning. She thanks them with a sweet smile and mentions that the dress was custom made just for today. The men eagerly agree that she is the most beautiful woman in the entire kingdom. Pleased by their words, Isabella thinks to herself that parties truly are the best. These typical arrogant men are her loyal background chorus today, her supporting cast of admirers. Just then, her butler approaches and quietly asks if she's really going to make the announcement today. Isabella confidently replies that of course she will. This is finally happening. After making her wait for 3 long years, the time has come. What better occasion could there be than the 1500th anniversary celebration of the kingdom's founding? All the lords of the land have gathered here. There is no grander stage to declare the next queen, and today the lead role belongs to no one but her. On the other side of the hall, a group of young nobles begins to gather around Ella. They express their disbelief at her presence. How dare someone as beautiful as her show up and steal their breath away? They ask where she came from, and she replies calmly that she came from Eastwood. The group is stunned. They ask if she is the one who transformed Eastwood completely, aligning it with the standards of the capital. She admits that it was her doing. Their surprise only deepens. She's so calm, so composed. How is this happening? Why can't she just be the quiet wallflower she was supposed to be? Isabella notices the growing commotion and sees the group of men surrounding someone. Her smile falters. She was supposed to be the center of attention. Who is stealing her spotlight? Ella, sensing the rising tension, tells the men that she isn't feeling well and will be taking her leave. But before she can step away, Isabella arrives. With a bright, sugary tone, Isabella greets Ella and says it's great to see her again. Ella, matching her tone, says that it was such an important event she couldn't miss it. Isabella, still smiling, throws a mocking remark. She heard that Ella's estate was still in the recovery phase, yet she's wearing such an extravagant dress, she must have received a generous amount of funding. Isabella warns her gently that if she stands out too much, she might disturb the other guests. After all, this party isn't meant for her. Ella agrees softly. She explains that her staff got a little too excited and prepared this dress for her. In fact, it's thanks to everyone's help that she was able to recover and attend this event. However, she adds, She might have overexerted herself coming here, and she plans to leave soon. At that moment, the ceremonial bell strikes. Isabella scoffs lightly, declaring that it's time. Before Ella can take another step, Isabella says that since she's already here, why not stay a little longer and enjoy the next event? It's been such a long time since they last saw each other. She's truly happy to see her again. Ella knows full well that Isabella's words are dripping with sarcasm. If this were any ordinary occasion, Isabella would have done everything in her power to get her thrown out. She standing nearby is genuinely concerned, sensing that something big is about to happen. Finally, the king steps forward and thanks everyone for coming. He announces that today is a truly special day in the history of the kingdom. Thanks to the effort and loyalty of all those present, they have reached the 1,500th year since the kingdom's founding. But that's not the only reason they've gathered here today. With a proud smile, the king declares that they are also here to announce the engagement of Prince Gil and Lady Isabella. The entire hall erupts in joyous cheers. Everyone claps and celebrates the news. Everyone, except for Ella, who stands silently, the weight of the announcement pressing down on her chest. The king then adds that he intends to pass down the throne while he is still in good health for the sake of the kingdom's future king and queen. He wants them to begin their new journey by performing the ceremonial wedding toss. But just as the couple prepares to step forward, a commanding voice cuts through the celebration. The former queen raises her hand and tells them to stop right there. Gasps echo through the hall. With an expression of cold authority, she declares that as the former queen, she refuses to accept this marriage. Ella is in denial about why she is here. The king speaks to his mother, the former queen, reminding her that they have already discussed this, but she snaps that she never said she was satisfied with their opinion. She knows very well that they are forcing this engagement to come to fruition, and so she resorts to these types of methods. The former queen believes they need to build good relations with the Walker family, but Isabella is already traumatized enough simply because she is the fiancée of the prince, who knows what this horrible woman will do when she becomes queen. The king's faction and the money and power faction have been ignoring her pleas to call off this marriage, even though Sus is here, exposing the royal family's secrets during a time when they are supposed to be celebrating the future of the kingdom and her beloved grandchild. The former queen truly cannot accept this marriage. Isabella, visibly tense, responds to the former queen, asking if she is truly refusing to approve the marriage and implying that she doubts Isabella's worthiness to be queen. The former queen coldly replies that she has seen enough of Isabella's past 3 years of behavior. And then, in the middle of the hall, she says something that shocks everyone: there is someone else more fit to be the queen. Isabella scoffs, refusing to believe such a claim. But the former queen turns to Ella and says she should be the one to lead this kingdom with Prince Gil. Ella gasps. Isabella chuckles bitterly, claiming that it seems the former queen is unaware that her sister Ella is the one who single-handedly called off the engagement and is currently recovering in Eastwood. Declaring that such a woman should be queen is absurd, even if the former queen turns the world upside down. The former queen asks Ella to step forward. Ella walks toward her, thoughts swirling. Why does it have to be her again? She had thought that finally she would be free this time. The former queen must be mistaken. She doesn't want to fight with Isabella over this and needs to back off immediately. The former queen commands her aide to read out Ella's achievements in Eastwood. The aide reads aloud that Ella punished the former lord of Eastwood and restored the Dominion's government herself. She established several prayer block projects to stimulate the economy and reduce unemployment, and she even formed a private army, putting immense effort toward restoring the Dominion's security and public safety. The crowd begins whispering among themselves. Perhaps Ella truly is capable of handling all this, but Ella, standing silently, thinks to herself that she didn't do it all alone. She believes the former queen is exaggerating her accomplishments. Nevertheless, because of these results, the former queen has selected Ella as the next queen. Compared to her, she asks what Isabella has done in the past 3 years. All she has done is indulge in awful games, flaunting her status as the prince's fiancée. Isabella angrily responds that the former queen keeps talking nonsense. She insists that she was chosen to stand above others the moment she was born. That is why she must become the queen. It shouldn't matter what she does. Whatever Ella has done doesn't concern her. Surely, Prince Gale will understand her feelings, and even if he doesn't, he will still marry the one chosen for him. That response makes her truly angry. She turns to the former queen and says this should be discussed later at a more appropriate time, as they are confusing everyone during the festivity. The former queen says that this is true, but the issue cannot remain unresolved. She turns to the king, saying they must deal with this now. The king agrees. They both turn to Ella, saying that they are sorry for bringing her out like this, but this was their only option. Ella quietly says it's okay, though deep down she thought she was going to be executed. Now it seems like she's going to be targeted by Isabella again. At this rate, there are still so many things she must fix on the way to fulfilling her duties as Lord. She doesn't want to face the burden of this battle anymore. Isabella, stepping past her, says to Ella that they will speak later, and that she hopes something bad happens to her body. She will pray for it. On the other side of the venue, some men are laughing. They cannot believe they are receiving money from Isabella to attack the town. To them, it is just some noble struggle that doesn't concern them. Their job is to get paid. The watchers nearby see smoke rising. A tense silence falls as the realization dawns. The bandits are killing and abusing the townspeople. A girl, trying to run, collapses to the ground, helpless. She sees what is happening and cries for help, her soul in despair as the bandits try to grab her. Isabella tells her mother not to worry, Ella won't be able to make it to the discussion day. Her mother asks if Isabella did something to stop her, and Isabella laughs, saying she only did some charity work for the town. She gave a little money to some poor men, but it seems those men hurt her in a very different way and destroyed Eastwood. That place doesn't have a proper security system, just a few bandits are enough to turn it into hell. If this happens, Ella won't be able to attend the discussion, and her ability to serve as Lord will come into question. Even the former queen, who recommended her as the next queen, might start to doubt her. These two witches, referring to Ella and the former queen, may be enjoying themselves now, but Isabella believes it won't last long. However, on the day of the meeting, the royal members are stunned to see Ella arrive. She says there's no need for explanation, she is here because she was called. She smirks, asking if it's really that strange to see her in one piece. A few days earlier, Ella had thought she would have to remain in the capital until the day of the discussion. She tried to keep quiet, but she ended up thinking about everything about Isabella. Now she knows she is truly on Isabella's bad side. Someone like her, she believes, can never be queen. What in the world was the former queen thinking? Suddenly, someone knocks on her door. An express letter has arrived from Eastwood. She grows worried, afraid something serious has happened. Her face tightens as she reads the letter. A lord nearby asks if everything is all right. She answers that the Eastwood was attacked by bandits. Fortunately, the damage is light, thanks to the militia. But there are still casualties. She wants to go back and check it herself. But according to the testimony of the captured bandits, they were ordered to attack Eastwood. The one who sent them is most likely Isabella. The militia was originally established so that Eastwood could one day declare independence from the kingdom, but no one could have known it would come in handy this soon. She orders her aide to bring her things. She is going to prepare immediately. She will leave things in the hands of her officials and the militia. She should only return to Eastwood after she has solid proof that Isabella is behind it all. Now, as she looks at Isabella's expression, it is obvious Isabella really was behind it. Isabella, trying to act innocent, says she heard Eastwood was attacked by some bandits. Since Ella is still here, it must mean she doesn't care about her dominion. Ella is angered by this. Of course she cares. She scoffs at Isabella, saying the news seems to have traveled fast, but she assures them that the militia managed to shred the bandits, and the damages were minimal. She adds that she would like to go back as soon as possible, but she cannot miss a meeting held by the royal family. She has duties as a lord that she needs to fulfill. Isabella grows irritated. Finally, the royal members' entry is announced. The butler asks them all to take their seats. The king now commences the meeting to select the partner for Prince Gil between Ella and Isabella. The king says to the former queen that he is not going to stand with her, as marrying Isabella to the prince is going to benefit the kingdom. However, the field-wield argues that Ella is also a member of their family. The king responds that she should already be aware that Ella was once engaged to Prince Gil but called it off, citing her poor health. Currently, she serves as the Lord of Eastwood, having been officially exiled from the Walker family. even if Gil gets engaged to her, there would be no benefit to the royal family. The former queen states that perhaps she was unclear last time, so let her be clear now. Even without taking Isabella's qualifications into account, she has always opposed strengthening ties with the Walker family. She apologizes if she is offending anyone, but what she is trying to say is that if they grow too close to them, they will make the royal family their puppet. There have been many times in history when the king's power was usurped, and the entire kingdom fell into ruin. The king argues that it is also true that the kingdom has prospered after shaking hands with the nobles. The former queen agrees that is exactly what she is trying to compromise on as much as she can. They ask her then what exactly she is trying to compromise here. She believes they should simply let Ella herself demonstrate that there are merits to her role, merits even greater than strengthening bonds with the Walker family. The king says that if that is possible, he would like to see it. He thinks it's impossible and questions why the former queen is trying so hard to fight for her. Then, they ask the queen, who is going to determine Ella's capabilities? The queen proposes that both sisters compete for the finance position, and the one who brings more benefit to the kingdom should be selected. Whether it is Queen Isabella, who is already on her way to bring benefits to the royal family, or Ella, who wouldn't provide them with any alliance, it will be obvious which one has the advantage. But if Ella is truly that capable, and if she truly possesses the wisdom to solve the deep-rooted illness spread throughout the kingdom just like the former queen, who was once hailed as the great empress, then let her prove it. That mother starts to argue that they can't do this. Isabella agrees with her mother, saying they all already know who is more fit to be queen without having to bother fighting for the spot. The former queen tells her that if that is the case, then all she needs to do is prove it. She asks Isabella if she is not confident, making Isabella more angry. Isabella says that before they even begin talking about confidence, she wants to clarify that Ella doesn't even desire to be her competitor. Ella agrees. She says she doesn't think she is quite fit to be queen, and she apologizes for doubting the proposal, but asks if they can pretend that this never happened. Eastwood already suffered damage just from this debate, and if she ends up competing with Isabella, she might be executed again. This time, she has something to protect her estate, and she is going to do whatever it takes to avoid losing it. The king asks Gil what he thinks about it. Gil says the same thing he always says, that he doesn't care. He is going to do whatever they choose for him. The former queen looks at him and says that in that case, they will take a break for now. The king also needs some time to think over everything. The former queen then turns to Ella, saying she would like to talk to her privately and asks her to come with her to the balcony. Ella says okay. At the balcony, the former queen tells her that this is her favorite place. Ella replies that it is wonderful. Then, the former queen asks why she thinks it's pretty. She urges her to be more direct about how she feels about this scenery. Ella thinks for a moment. She says that she feels it is the same view of the capital as usual. But then, she notices some ruins in the back. The former queen sees that Ella has caught the detail and acknowledges it may seem prosperous on the surface, but this kingdom is on the brink of destruction. She praises her for being able to see the city's destruction from here, and to hear such great words from the greatest empress. Ella is truly delighted. The former queen laughs, saying that God is such an extravagant nickname at that time, she was just desperate. She can see that this kingdom does not float solely on the king's power. That, too, is another reason why the king is so desperate to bind himself with the Walker family. But the fact that the kingdom is on the brink of destruction makes her think that it might be imperative for the next queen to help Gil. And when she heard about Ella's work at Eastwood, she became sure that Ella is the best fit. She expresses her regret for having caused trouble for Ella, but Ella says that she doesn't have to think of it that way, as she is already honored to receive so much praise from the queen. But she admits that she does not have the abilities to take such a big step, and she does not think she can live up to her expectations. She asks if she can be allowed to back out of this competition. The former queen understands what Ella is worried about. She knows everything that has been going on behind the scenes involving her and her family. Ella becomes angry. If she knew all of this, why did she still make her get involved? The former queen says that she doesn't have much time left, so she needs to take matters into her own hands. She feels bad for doing this to her. Over the past few years, she has seen enough of what happens to nobles who make the Walker family their enemy. And even if she didn't know about their secrets, she already knew that Ella's exile was unjust. Ella tells her that regardless of what happens at the competition, she will get murdered. So why? The former queen replies that it is because she thought that it might be the want of the kingdom, not just for the kingdom, but for the world. Yet she also knows that this is not what Ella wants to hear. Ella is aware that she is very skilled at negotiating, and the reason she is called the greatest empress is because she managed to mend relations with the neighboring country in a single diplomatic meeting. The former queen says that it was a long time ago, but Ella asks her to let her assist, because right now, her life no longer belongs to her alone. In order to protect her dominion, she is willing to die. The former queen grows even more impressed. It seems like she judged her just right, so she proposes, what about this? If she is going to assist her, then she will invest in her and in Eastwood, because it seems like that is what she needs the most right now. Indeed, obtaining funds for Eastwood is really important at the moment, but if they continue to reform at this pace, their public safety will stabilize easily, so they don't need her help at all. Ella says she just wants peace, and to forget about her family. The queen asks her if she really believes peaceful things are going to come into her life, especially with Isabella, because when she becomes queen, she will become even more tyrannical. And if Ella backs out now, the chaos will erupt even sooner than before. She asks her if she truly thinks she can protect Eastwood with the power she currently has, without even considering what may happen a few years into the future. As of now, they still do not have enough time or money, not to mention the damages from the bandits. So again, what the former queen is trying to say is that if Ella works with her, she is not going to stop investing in Eastwood. But Ella asks her to stop, as she still hasn't decided on helping them. And what about Gil's feelings? The former queen reminds her that she has already told her that she is the best fit for him. And this is not just because of her capabilities, it is because she felt that she would be able to free him of his chains. Ella asks what chains she is talking about just as Gil comes in, asking his grandmother not to say anything more. She asks him if he is here just to enjoy the view. He replies that the king asked them to come, and though he was going to send the servants to call them, he came himself after overhearing them talking about him. She asks him if she said something wrong, but he is certain that she knows exactly what she is talking about, because anything they say could easily spread across the entire kingdom. That is why they cannot allow the people or the nobles to see them vulnerable. For a future queen to say such things, he finds it careless. He remains as stiff as always, then advises that one can sometimes obtain valuable information by pretending to be vulnerable. However, he clarifies that such a tactic is only acceptable during formal meetings. She cannot apply the same reasoning here. He then turns to Ella, stating that this is a direct order from the prince. She must not repeat to anyone what she heard here today. She replies that it does not seem to her as though she heard anything important, but he finds her reaction strange. Typically, a noble would seize this kind of opportunity to make unreasonable demands. Her understanding nature confuses him, and he begins to wonder what exactly she is trying to achieve. She asks him if something is wrong. He says no, but then adds that they need to talk about the price to keep her quiet. She is confused as to why he would say such a thing. He explains that if he pays her, and she leaks the information afterward, then he will have grounds to punish her. She understands from this that he does not trust her at all. Gil agrees nobles cannot be trusted. She denies that she needs any compensation, as the information she received holds no value to her, and of course, she has no intention of speaking about it to anyone. He argues that the problem is not whether the information has value to her or not. What he wants is a guarantee.